Okay, if I am invited to this university to talk about cutting edge medicine, talk about evidence-based medicine, state-of-the-art therapeutic, ICT, molecular biogenetic research, you would surely say, wah, this is fantastic, great doctor, state-of-the-art doctor dan sebagainya. Wah, macam people like us to talk about how atherosclerosis form, how eventually eventually you get the heart attack, how we can open up the balloons and stents and everything, how we can even hook up an umbrella inside your coronary artery and catch all the debris of cholesterol, and how people can do bypass operation in an infarcted heart, and how we can open mitral stenosis with a balloon, no need operation now. You can just insert a transesophageal echo and do mitral valvoplasty through transcutaneous. We can replace valves with tissue valves and prosthetic valves and everything. So when we talk about these things, we say, wow, this is real medicine, this is the real medical conference dan sebagainya. But people forget that despite having all this technology of using septal defect with a gadget, people forgot that patient is still a patient, manusia. Doctors talk about patient macam, oh, this patient is grade 46, or this is grade 20, or this jaundice patient, this anemia patient. They don't even know the names of their patient, and they don't address patient as manusia lagi sekarang ni. Pakcik, besok operation okey. Lepas tu, oh pakcik dah sihat, boleh balik. Kita tanya pakcik tu, pakcik sakit apa? Tak tahu lah, doktor problem saya kat sini. Because doctor don't even give a damn about explaining to the patient what life-threatening procedure that they are going to do. As though the patient is bodoh sangat. Kalau saya tegangkan pun pakcik tak tahu macam tu, it's their body that you are operating on, but you don't give a damn. Because medical school don't teach you about this. They teach you as a supplementary subject that you come pun boleh, tak datang pun people will notice that you don't come. Nursing school pun don't give a damn. That's not part of the major core curriculum dan sebagainya. So those who are healthcare givers don't often relate patient as a patient anymore. All they talk about in the canteen ialah, wah, pagi tadi I got rid of 100 patients in the outpatient department within 3 hours. Maknanya dia dapat habiskan 100 patient tu is like a kilang. Wah, aku boleh buat 10 microchip in 30 minutes. But they are human beings. You forgot that they have been waiting for you for 1 hour before seeing you for 5 minutes. That's why we are losing the battle. We are losing. People are looking for alternative medicine. Mau pergi dekat cari homo, cari apa. Why the doctors are not behaving well? When they see doctors, they are not treated as manusia. But when they see homo cukup main layan lagi apa semua, and they trust homo more than doctors. And don't blame people for not going to hospitals, because it is our fault and not their fault. So we forget that the patient has got a family and community. Pakcik, duduk lagi 3 hari lah. Kenapa? Ada student exam. Saya simpan pakcik because ada student exam 3 hari. You just keep the patient because ada student exam. You forget that the family have got to come and visit them every 3 days that you keep them. Kan? But to us, it's just another object in the hospital. You can just do what we can or what we like. This is wrong. The character, moral and ethics of doctor, alamak, who cares lah. As long as he just do operation and the patient is still, it's okay. Dia jadi akhlak macam buruk pun, we don't care. And most forgotten is the religious obligations and the elements of healing from the true to the ego of Allah. We forget. Some doctors dia mengaku, oh sebab aku operate lah dia baik. Play God. Some people even say, oh kalau saya tak operate on time, mati dah patient ni. Macam dia lah yang memberi nyawa kepada manusia. It's the syirik. It will bring you to neraka. Na'udzubillah minzalik. It changes from pahala kepada syirik kepada Allah SWT. And people forget this. People forget yang sebenarnya bila patient itu sembuh, dia sembuh kerana Allah, bukan kerana operation yang kita buat apa semua. It's just a sebab. Dan kita lupa bahawa doktor apa semua adalah sebenarnya khadam kepada penyembuhan Allah SWT. Kita memberi nikmat sahaja. Dan semoga Allah memberi pahala kepada kita bila is when you find that there was a few researchers yang orang tanya this question, berapa ramai di kalangan pesakit menunjukkan solat di hospital tuan bekerja. Saya minta kalau boleh di hospital pilihan ini buat a short research, pergi ke medical ward ke, orthopedic ward ke, kita buat saja hari ini berapa orang yang kerja yang sembahyang 5 waktu di kalangan pesakit yang admitted to your ward. Just buat saja, ya. We found that dekat hospital yang saya tak nak beritahu namanya di Kuala Lumpur, 15% sahaja yang sembahyang sempurna 5 waktu. What happened to the 85%? The ideas don't pray at all, or they pray only once or twice a day. Even in the Islamic State of Kelantan, the research shows that at best there are only 45% of people yang admitted to the ward yang sembahyang cukup 5 waktu. This is a published research result, ya. It is a big shame. Kenapa? Because it is when you are in lah, masa kita sakit lah, kita kena sembahyang dan kita kena berdoa dan kita mengharap penyembuhan daripada Allah SWT. Tapi orang mengambil penyakit itu sebagai a big license for you not to pray dan sebagainya, ya. Do your obligation, ya. Kenapa? Dalam research tu tanya kenapa tidak solat di hospital. Ada setengah orang jawab susah lah, tak ada teleskop, tak apa lah, di rumah boleh kodok, ya. So ada ustaz namanya Ustaz Marzuk, who is actually a chaplain juga dekat USM, hospital USM. Dia kata yang jawab macam ni Tok Lebay, dia pun tak boleh nak hujah against them. Dia imam masjid, dia Tok Syekh dekat kampung dan sebagainya. So they themselves say, never mind, Allah is maha understanding. So if I feel, nanti boleh qada and do something when I am well. What if you don't become well? Tak apalah, that one we talk about later, ya. Tak tahu, tak selesa, dah lama tak sembahyang, tak ada surau, macam tadi kan, tak ada surau. So, yeah, you see that very gigantic hospital tapi surau dia kurang. Maknanya dua orang dia boleh buat at one time or something like that, ya. I mean, you don't have conducive situation to help people pray. Most often people don't know. Itu je. They don't know how to pray dalam keadaan mereka tak boleh bangun daripada katil, nak pergi toilet, nak bentang tiga sembahyang pun tak larat dan sebagainya. They don't know. Sebab siapa yang punya tanggungjawab untuk memberitahu mereka? Takkan kita nak suruh ustaz pergi the whole of IJN yang berapa ratus hospital beds tu, kan? One person who tell everybody in the hospital how to pray every day. Doktor pun 2 orang, paling kuat pun 2 buat dia pergi. Tapi ustaz kena buat 10 buat, mana boleh tak cik, ya? So, this is our job, ya? Tugas kita. Barang siapa yang melampaukan diri seorang mukmin yang sedang dalam kesusahan atau menolong seorang mukmin yang teraniaya, maka saya dia akan diampunkan oleh Allah SWT. It is our job and our ibadah every day as we are working in the hospital, and we are partly responsible for those who do not pray when they are admitted to our ward. Kita jangan cakap kalau saya baru medical student, belum jadi doktor lagi, belum ada certificate of practice, annual practicing certificate. Tak, Allah Ta'ala tak kira ada APC ke tak ada, ya. Di recognize oleh MMC atau tidak, tak kisah. Tapi kita recognize oleh Islam sebagai seorang Muslim, tanggungjawab itu ada, ya. So what have we done? We have organized seminars, we have got practical sessions, training for the trainers ni. Kita even went to Sabah, ajar orang betul-betul macam mana nak buat tayamum. Dia buat depan kita, betul, bagi sijil. Maksudnya, we have already organized training for the trainers. Okay? Macam mana kita ni seorang wanita nak tolong lelaki ambil SPM, macam mana? Glove up dulu dengan our glove. Macam mana kita practice